Hello and welcome to Creative Connection. I'm your host, Gary Blanchard, and today I'm very happy to have as a guest singer, songwriter, and performer Matt Soper. Matt, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So you seem to have started performing at a very young age. What got you interested in music, and who are some of your influences?
So I got my first guitar when I was 13. At that time, that was kind of when all the 90s grunge was happening. Kurt Cobain, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, those were all my heroes at the time. So like me and many of my friends, we wanted to be cool and pick up guitar. And I actually originally wanted to play drums, but my mother wasn't having that. So so luckily I got a guitar and, took lessons right away for about a year, and I became obsessed with it, really. Just every day, that's all I wanted to do was play guitar and learn. And I didn't even really start singing until a few years after that, until maybe high school, about junior year. I started playing with some other friends.
Okay.
Found a drummer, found a bass player, a bunch of us, and formed my first band called Fourth Floor. And we actually had a lot of success early on. About freshman year in college, we hooked up with a band called Dispatch, who's considered one of the better-known underground bands from Boston. They've sold out Madison Square Garden 3 nights in a row and done all these wild things, but they're still like a, pretty underground band. I'm sure you probably haven't heard of them.
Not being a native, I must say I haven't.
Right. So the drummer in my band actually befriended them and actually became their drum tech. Just kind of like started going out to their shows and stuff, and they helped us a lot early on, getting some gigs and opening some doors for us. So we were able to play a lot of the big venues in Boston, House of Blues, Paradise Rock Club, Middle East, stuff like that. And so that's kind of where it all began for me around that time.
Okay. So who are your musical influences?
So that's a really hard question to answer because I like such a diverse amount of music. I always like to say the only music that I don't like is 80s hair metal. So that's like the only thing I won't listen to. But to answer this question, I kind of break it down to songwriters. Your straight up singer-songwriters, Jim Croce, Neil Young, Bob Marley, Bill Withers, Marvin Gaye. Those are probably my top 5 guys that I really draw from.
Okay, and that's a very interesting list.
Yeah.
And with some rather different and unusual choices, but really excellent.
Yeah.
Choices. So,
yes, I agree.
Yeah. So on your website, it says that you shared the stage with diverse acts from Johnny Winter to Third Eye Blind to Ricky Skaggs.
Yeah.
So is there a particular show that really stands out for you?
I'd say, let's see here. The Johnny Winters was really cool. So I'm from Southbridge, born and raised. I recently moved back. And at the time, there was a really cool club in town called Mill Street Brews. People refer to it as the Mill. And there was a time, about a 5-year period, where they were having some amazing national acts coming through, and Johnny Winters was one of them. He actually played there once or twice a year for a few years. So my band at the time had the opportunity to open for him, and that was really cool because, obviously Johnny's, referred to as one of the greatest guitar players of all time. So
right.
So that was a special one for sure. That stands out, I'd say.
So as a young person, getting to open for someone like Johnny Winter must have been a fantastic feeling.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And getting to meet him and all that stuff was just a very cool experience.
So when did you start writing music?
Kind of like I said, in high school, around that time, maybe my junior year in high school, my first band, I started writing. I was really into Bob Marley at the time and reggae music, so I was writing a lot of stuff like that. And so about that period, I'd say.
Okay. Yeah. Why don't you play a song for us?
Okay, sure. We mentioned reggae. probably play something like that. So the song isn't from that high school, college period, but I wrote this song with the last band I was in called New Pilot, and we haven't done anything in about 3 years, but we might. And this is on the last album, and it's called Step Into My Fingers. The ceiling fan collects the dust of a motionless winter waiting for the summer's rust. And all those things I said to you hover to the ground and onto soles of shoes. It's not up to me if you will play fair. It's not in our words that breathe in the air. It's easy to see your world's drowning when the beach is in your stare. Is it you? Is it true? And is it too late to ask why? 'Cause it's been inches from my mind. Is it too late to ask why? Please verify. Please verify. You put off those shoes and stepped into a cellar thinking this time could be something new. Don't pretend there's just bones and stones inside of you. You know exactly what it really means to be in love with someone. It's not up to me if you will play fair. It's not in words that breathe in the air. It's easy to see what's drowning when the beach is in your stare. Is it true? Is it true? And is it too late to ask why? 'Cause it's inches from my mind. Is it too late to ask why? Please verify. Please verify.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a moment like this when we need a studio audience to
Yeah, right.
give you the proper applause for that.
Yeah, well, I'm used to having plenty of shows where there's no applause, so.
Okay. So you're running an open mic for songwriters
Yep.
at Starlight in Southbridge,
Yep.
and it's called The Songwriter's Mind.
Yes.
Where did that come from?
The name?
Yeah.
So that's actually a name I've had for a few years now. I bought the domain name and the Facebook page and all that stuff maybe 3 years ago or so. And the original idea was to have some sort of a blog where I'd make some blog posts and also do a lot of video where I'd go out to different clubs and kind of film songwriters and interview them and stuff like that. But it just never happened for a few years. I always planned on doing something with it, but it just didn't happen. So Starlight actually came to me and they had the idea to do an open mic that was just for songwriters, because they have a normal open mic on Monday nights, which is very successful for them, but they wanted to do something specifically for songwriters. So I said, sounds like a great idea, I'm very interested. And then one night I'm like, oh, that would be a cool thing to name it, Songwriter's Mind. So, and we actually do incorporate a lot of video stuff into it too, like the original idea was, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's great. Is it going to end up with a kind of like a blog and vlog type?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So, like I said, I have the website. It's not really up and running yet, but we're actually we just had our 11th week yesterday, and So we're just kind of acquiring enough content, and then we'll get the website up and going. And the main goal is to keep doing the thing at Starlight and filming the featured guests and all that, and eventually kind of branch out and go out and find some other people and that might not be able to come down to us. So, and film them in cool spots and different clubs and stuff like that.
So have you had difficulty finding songwriters for this?
No. When I first decided to do it, I was very worried because it's hard enough getting people to a regular open mic, in my experience, because I've run normal open mics too. And I said, it's going to be hard to get people, maybe not the players to come out, but for, in this day and age, people to come out to watch something like that. So, so that's why I really wanted to incorporate the video stuff to kind of, promote it and show people that it's a cool event, and specifically to target good songwriters to come and feature for us, because they come in, we film 3 of their songs, we have 3 cameras going, a professional recording sound setup. Starlight's a very cool place, very aesthetically pleasing, a lot of cool spots to film, and then I take it home, I edit it up nice, and these songwriters get a really cool piece that they can put on their website and promote on Facebook and all that stuff. So they actually kind of reach out to me now, like really good quality songwriters that want to come in and do it. So it's working out well.
Yeah, for the longest time, it seems like people really wanted cover bands.
Yeah.
And if you were doing original music, it was very hard to get bookings.
Yes.
I've noticed now that there are more and more songwriters groups, songwriter nights, songwriters in the round, things along that line. Why do you think there's a sudden surge of interest in songwriting?
I think we need it. So a lot of people aren't going out to see live music like they once did. Music clubs are struggling to get people to come in to see live bands and all that stuff, and that's why the cover bands have been successful. But I think we, just as human beings, we need that connection with people coming and performing and sharing their souls with you and original works of art. And I think that's kind of why it's starting to come back. I think it's also coming back because a lot of these places can't afford to pay a full band, let's say, to come in and play original music, but it might be a little more affordable to get a singer-songwriter to come in and do that, and I think that's part of the trend as well. But
okay,
yeah.
So when you're writing a song, do you what are you looking to accomplish within the song?
That's a good question. All right, so 2 things. So I'm a big melody guy. I like hooks, but when people hear that, they think pop music and stuff like that. So, which is not something. I mean, I do like a lot of pop music, good pop music, but so I try to achieve that, a good melody, something that's catchy that will bring in the listener. But also, I want to keep the musical integrity intact and have something interesting going on musically that So a music connoisseur would be like, that's kind of cool what he did there. So those are the 2 things I'm always trying to accomplish with my songs.
Okay, so finding that balance between art and commerce, perhaps.
Yeah.
I think it's difficult because so much of what you see about songwriting is about how to write hit songs.
Yeah.
And there's certainly nothing wrong with writing hit songs.
Right.
But I think there is probably a danger in writing to formula where some of the soul of the music can get lost.
Right.
So it sounds like you really work hard to balance those 2.
Yeah. I don't think it's possible to just sit down with a formula and write a good song. There has to be, that initial point when you're first starting where there's that inspiration that just kind of, seems to come from nowhere, and then you can take it in and kind of hash it out. And if you have some formulas that you want to use, I don't use formulas, but I know some people do. But I don't know. I'm a strong believer, and then it should come from a different place than formulas.
Yeah. Do you have any particular lines of songs that you're particularly happy with and really love?
Yeah, I guess we could take a look at the song I just played. I do like the opening line a lot. It's the ceiling fan collects the dust of emotionless winter waiting for the summer's rust. And I really kind of like that line.
That is really a great line.
Yeah, it kind of sums up the song in that first line. So
Right.
I really kind of like that.
Yeah, every now and then you hear a phrase in a song that just really grabs you.
Yep.
I'm thinking of a song Paul Simon did on Graceland that has the line, "Hey, Senorita, that's astute. Why don't we get together and call ourselves an institute?" And that there's just something about that line that really grabs you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that when you write something like that grabs you, it's going to grab other people as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there's a lot that we have in common.
Yeah.
So of all the songs that you've written, do you have a favorite?
No, definitely not. Actually, you know what? I'd have to say probably the last song that I wrote is always my favorite song. So, because eventually it comes to a point where you play it enough times and you get sick of it, or your songwriting style changes, or because you always should be getting better, right? So, yeah. I'd say always the last song I wrote.
I think, as a songwriter myself, I think I would agree with you on that. Yeah. There is something about the newness of it that does make it really special.
Yep.
So why don't you play another song for us?
Sure. All right. So this is a really old song. I wrote this when I was with my first band that I discussed earlier, called Fourth Floor. Never played it with bands, but the song kind of was inspired by a trip we took to Nantucket for the weekend. We were playing at one of the clubs, one of the two clubs that are out there. There's the Chicken Box, I believe, and then there's the Muse. And we were playing at the Muse. And of course, that weekend, the most popular band in Nantucket was playing at the Chicken Box. So there was absolutely nobody at this club. It was just empty the whole weekend. And this is the kind of song about that night. Bubbles melting all over my head. There's an old man standing in the corner, snapping, breaking his hand. Moving to the beat, or so he tries. Now that's a man with less disguise. Less disguise. Do what you wanna do, just say what you mean. And I'll be the one you love when you're staring at your knees. Some people come around and some people change, but there's you with your light and yourself, and that can never change. Oh no, that could never change. Two girls are dancing in the middle of the floor, and I like to kiss them both. Into this night, into a fright, but I get scared like a cat, but I can't see it to find less disguise. Do what you wanna do, just say what you mean. And I'll be the one you love when you're staring at your knees. Some people come around and some people change, but there's you with your life and yourself, and that could never change. No, no, that could never change. Less disguise, less disguise. I wanna be a man with less disguise. Less disguise, less disguise. Wanna be a man with less disguise. Less disguise, less disguise, less disguise. Do what you wanna do, just say what you mean. And I'll be the one you love when you're staring at your knees. Some people come around and some people change, but there's you with your life and yourself that can never change. That can never change. That can never change. Never, never change. Never.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you. So, are you a person who works a long time with a song, or are you a person who writes it and it's done?
I take a long time. Yeah, I mean, some are quicker than others, but for me, it's the music and like the melody comes quick, and then the lyrics for me are the ones that I really take me the most time to hash out.
Usually, which will come first, words or music?
So it's always music. You know, I have a routine that, you know, it's tried and true, and I've tried other ways, but so it really starts with just sitting down with the guitar. First, there needs to be some inspiration. I try not to force it. You know, whenever I'm feeling inspired, I'll pick up the guitar, and then I'll just start strumming away, and hopefully come up with something that I like, chord progression-wise, a riff, something like that. And once I'm happy with that, then I'll just pretty much just start improvising, singing over it, trying to come up with a melody.
Okay.
And pretty much just gibberish words and stuff like that. But a lot of the times those words actually end up staying, you know, and oftentimes become, you know, what the song's about too, because, you know, it's, you know, you're kind of singing your subconscious, and whatever is in you that's trying to get out sometimes gets out, you know, so.
Okay.
And then after that, then I kind of hash out, you know, tidy up the lyrics and kind of put it all together. So.
Right, right. Now, you perform a lot in the area, is that correct?
Yeah, I do.
And when you're performing, how much of your sets are original and how much are covers?
Unfortunately, not as many original as I would like. I currently make a living playing music and teaching music, so unfortunately, but fortunately, there's a lot of gigs to be had at restaurants and breweries and bars and all that stuff, playing cover music. So I don't mind it. I get to pick what I play, so I play what I like, and so most of the gigs are those types of gigs, but they pay the bills, and so I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you are making a living at it, you do the things that you need to do.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you enjoy it at the same time.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy it. I mean,
okay.
I mean, you're playing money. I mean, playing money. Playing music for money. So,
right.
Why not, right?
Right, yeah. So if people want to find out where you're performing or want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
So I have a website. It's called mattsopermusic.com. You can find everything you need there. My schedule's up there, booking information, all the links to my social media, some videos, some music samples. So just go there, and everything you need is there. Okay.
And as I understand, you play at Hannah Devine's.
Yeah, I played there a whole bunch of times. A really cool restaurant. I like it a lot there, and I've also played at Workshop 13 once with a friend of mine, and also love that place.
Yeah, Ware has really gotten to have some nice music venues.
Yeah.
So, it's good to know that, we have places that people can perform.
Mm-hmm.
Have you done any recordings?
Yeah, so I recorded several albums with bands. My first band, Fourth Floor, has 3 albums. The last band I was in, New Pilot, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 albums, I think. So you can find a lot of my original stuff on there. And I'm currently recording my first solo album. It's been a lot of years in the making. I always say I'm going to record it, but then another project comes along, another band or something like that. So, but I should be having something out in a few months, so I'm excited about that.
Great. Well, we'll be looking out for it. So, is there a question that you wish I would have asked?
So you told me about this question, and I had an answer in mind, but then you asked me the question, so so now I'm drawing a blank. But I think we covered everything. Okay.
Well, why don't you take us out with another song?
Okay. Great.
And again, we've been with Matt Soper, and this has been Creative Connections, and we will see you again soon. Matt, take us out. Thank you.
Thank you.
What you said I can oftentimes and tell myself that I'm gone and done with you for good this time, this time, this time. And if you just point your eyes to my face so I can see. And if you believe, then I'll think of you and me. Just point your eyes to my face so I can see. Oftentimes go, but I am almost living all alone. Thoughts were racing, thoughts were breaking in between, in between, in between. And if you believe anything, call me. Just point your